In Mexico, pre-candidates close campaigning events as political parties will decide on its runner for the 2024 polls. In the United States, hundreds of people are still missing after the devastating wildfires in the island of Maui in the state of Hawaii. Tensions rise in northern India under a large police deployment after a wave of violence between Houthis and Muslims earlier this month, which results in 6 deaths. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. In Mexico, pre-candidate Marcelo Ebrard held his last campaign event in the nation's capital before the Running Morena party decides who will be its candidate for the 2024 polls. The former Mexican foreign minister addressed some 20,000 people gathered in the Arena Stadium in Mexico City. During this weekend's events, the 6 aspirants to the presidential candidacy of the ruling National Regeneration movements concluded their political tours around the country. Starting on Monday, a survey will be carried out among its bases as on September the 6th, the definitive candidate of the ruling party will be announced, where a debate between the former mayor of the Mexico City, Claudia Sheinbaum, and the former councilor, Marcelo Ebrard, will be held.
Today is the beginning of the future of Mexico. Today we begin the road to win the election of 2024, to defend the fourth transformation, to take it to the next level, to reach 2030 with the objectives that I have told you about.
Colombian authorities reported having seized around 640 tons of drugs so far in 2023. According to the operational results provided by the defense authorities, along with the military leadership in aspects such as drug seizures and illegal mining, in the first month of 2023, the National Navy managed to seize up to 4% higher the tons of cocaine seized in the same period of 2022. In Brazil, the Minister of Economy of Argentina, presidential candidate of the Union for the Homeland, Sergio Massa, will meet on Monday with President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva and his counterpart Fernando Haddad in order to address bilateral issues. During this visit, Massa will seek to make progress in an agreement so that imports from Brazil can be paid using yuan available from the sub-grids with the Asian Union, which will further alleviate the use of dollar reserves. Minister Massa will also analyze Argentina's entry into the BRIC bloc of emerging economies, the opening of agricultural markets, the tender of the second section of President Nestor Kirchner gas tax, as well as the Argentina-Brazil strategic agreements for maritime and river transport. Brazilian President Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva has announced that he will be signing a bill that makes permanent and regular readjustments to minimum wages. On August 24th, the Senate approved the temporary provision on minimum wage adjustment. The temporary order determined the value of the new minimum paid at 1,320 reais, about $272, an increase of 2.8% over the months set during the previous administration of Jair Bolsonaro. And despite the U.S. sanctions and the Western media narrative of a spiraling economy, Venezuela thrives thanks to its resilience and the strength of its people. To showcase the reality of the South American nation beyond misconception or fake news, Telesur presents the series Venezuela on the Move, tourism the nations from north to south, from mountains to the plains. In its first period, our colleague Ariana Sibori takes us to Portuguese state, where the prosperity rise from corn styles. Let's see.
In oil-rich Venezuela, corn is planted. It is part of Venezuelans' daily diet and, depending on the variety, is also used for animal feed. Its cultivation responds to climate behavior. However, experts assure that with good soil moisture management is well maintained.
The land here is privileged, with very good yields. In previous years, we have been declining, but we are trying to get ahead with good production and good yields.
Production seems to be advancing in the center of the nation, where Los Manires is located, one of the private farms that produces corn. Antonio works here. He's an innate expert and crop specialist.
I graduated in 2018, but I have been working with my father since I was a child. A great teacher with empirical knowledge, very valuable to put into practice here, and greatly complements the scientific knowledge the university gave me.
They carefully check each plant. This farm is expecting this year production of corn cob to exceed 9,000 kilograms.
Normal plague, and here is the will of God, as we say. Everything is normal here, everything is out of danger. The only thing left to do is to remove weeds. But everything is under control.
Corn is the most important crop in the agricultural sector, which increased by 52%, something that was achieved despite of the blockade imposed by the United States, according to government data.
We already have businessmen from Argentina, from China, from Turkey, from Uruguay, who are cultivating in alliance with our producers. It was not that they came here and grabbed the land. No, it is with our producers, financing that production, which was one of the drawbacks we had regarding financing. Because if we did not have any revenue with reeds, how could we finance ourselves, right?
In this Caribbean country, according to government data, the overall cereal production grew by 48% compared to the previous year.
Adriana Sibori, Jesús Romero, Telesur.
Let's take a very first break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. In the United States, in the southern state of Florida, a helicopter crashed Monday in a small apartment building. The accident took place in Pompano Beach, north of Miami. The helicopter caught fire and started coming apart in midair. The two people on board have been taken to a hospital. People on the ground were also injured, and there is at least one fatality. And we stayed in the U.S., where early on Sunday morning, a shooting near the Louisville restaurant left one man dead and 5 others wounded by gunfire. Louisville police and Mayor Shannon Lauder reported that law enforcement arrived on a scene in downtown Louisville around 3 a.m. And found a dead man at the scene. And media reports indicate that one of the victims, gunshot wounded man, was taken to the hospital in critical conditions, and 4 other people suffered non-life-threatening injuries.
This morning, LMPD had received a report of multiple gunshot victims at the Southern Lounge and Restaurant behind me at 3rd and Market. When officers arrived on scene, they located a male victim suffering from a gunshot wound who was deceased on scene. Another male suffering from critical injuries was transported by EMS to University Hospital, where he remains in critical condition. 4 additional victims self-transported themselves to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. No, they're not thinking.
Well, speaking at the 29th Ambassadors Conference in Paris on major foreign policy issues, French President Emmanuel Macron stressed that the new international scene leads to a awakening of the Europe and Western powers.
International context is becoming more complicated, and that there is a risk of weakening of the West, and specifically of our Europe. We need to be clear-headed without being excessively pessimistic in this context. Firstly, there is an objective dilution of our population, of our produced wealth, of our share in world trade. This has become even more true since the crisis of 2008-2010, and it is the result of the emergence of major international powers, which are imposing themselves. It has been reinforced by the energy crisis, as Europe is not a producer of fossil fuels, at least not in the short term. It also consolidates the strategies we are pursuing, but it's there, and it is a fact.
In the United Kingdom, the Interior Ministry considers attaching an electronic tracking device to regular asylum seekers. UK officials have been forced to consider new measures as they fear they could soon run off space in immigration detention centers and asylum accommodations in seeking to put Rishi Sunak's new stop-to-vote law into effect. The illegal immigration act states that those arriving illegally in the UK must be detained and removed and taken to Rwanda or a safe third country while their asylum requests are being processed. In China, Commerce Minister Wang Wentao and U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo met on Monday morning in Beijing to exchange views on bilateral trade. Raimondo arrived in the Chinese capital on Sunday for a 4-day visit to China at an invitation of Wang. The talks are a new attempt by the two nations to report that the deteriorating ties between the world's two largest economies. In other topics, hundreds of people are still missing after the devastating wildfires on the island of Maui in the state of Hawaii. Authorities report that there are around 300 people missing after rescue workers completed their research in 99% of the burned areas. The wildfires, which began on August 8th and killed at least 115 people, are the deadliest in the United States in over a century and the world's natural disaster in Hawaii's history. On Monday, Cuban civil defense authorities decreed the effective phase rise in the country's alert level due to the passage of the tropical storm Idalia. The Cuban Meteorological Institute forecasts that the tropical storm Idalia will transform into a hurricane on Monday and has urged everyone to pay special attention to the persistent and intense rains in the eastern part of the island. The institute forecasts winds gusts of 75 kilometers per hour in the western part of the country and strong and intense rainfall. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to watch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and active the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. My financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. In India, on Monday, tensions rose in the locality of Noon as Houthi extremist groups called for the continuation of a religious celebration that triggered a wave of violence between Hindus and Muslims earlier this month, which resulted in 6 deaths. The local police deployed almost 2,000 troops in the area after a heinous religious procession organized by the Wishad Houthi Parishan group is the Muslim town of Haryana was attacked by the mob on July the 31st. The violence spread over the next few days to several cities in the state and left 6 people dead.
We have denied permission for any kind of yatra or group movement. The internet service is suspended. Investigation is underway. Over 250 suspects have been identified and arrested. 4 specialists are conducting the investigation on the basis of technical evidence. Whoever tries to instigate through social networks will face measures against him, and social accounts will be blocked.
In Libya, demonstrators burned Israeli flags, stormed the site of foreign ministry, and set fire to the residence of the prime minister following a governmental attempt to normalize relations with Israel. The entrance to the United Nations headquarters was also set on fire during the protests sparked by revelations of a meeting in Italy between Libyan foreign minister and her Israeli counterpart, aimed at advancing in the regularization of ties between the two countries. On Sunday in Yemen, at least 23 people were killed in the southern province of Lak during armed clashes between government forces and the Houthi rebels. According to the military source, thousands of Houthi fighters launched a surprise attack against government troops in the Jaifa region of Lak, triggering fierce clashes that resulted in some 15 Houthi fighters and 8 pro-government soldiers killed. The latest attack was tested recent UN-backed efforts to reduce tensions between the Houthi militants and the deposed government. In Sudan, on Sunday, the head of the paramilitary rapid support forces, Mohammed Hamdan Hemeti Dagalo, proposed a plan for lasting peace. Dagalo's 10-point plans that Sudan's Burma proposed new negotiations to an war that began in April. Dagalo's plans forces a non-symmetrical federal system to represent Sudan's regional, cultural, and ethnic diversity and to end structural violence against broad segments of the Sudanese population.
Anyone who says there is an agreement or a deal with RSF or someone is helping is delusional. We don't strike deals with traitors or any party that betrayed the Sudanese people and will not cooperate with any side that betrayed the Sudanese people.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.